This is Crafting Time with Miss Gabriela, and today I am very excited to share this craft with you. We will be learning about the life of, guess who? King David. Do you remember Samuel from last week? So Samuel is directly involved with the life of King David, and we will learn why. Let's start. So we are going to start by gathering our materials. So we're going to be using Mr. Sketch scented smelly markers, as we call them at Kids Ministry. We are going to be using glue stick. This is a good one. We're going to be using a new material, and those are these glitter pens. Cannot wait. And then we're gonna take our kit called The Story of David. Okay, so now we have our materials ready. And first we are going to glue this lovely green color paper right here. And you can find a way to balance it out so there is plenty of white around, okay? So let's start by adding some glue. What we're gonna do is take one side, and you see this hole? We are going to insert it, and then we're gonna unite these two ends. And pull a little bit so you know that it's in the middle. And now you take one finger. We're gonna it's like when you tie your shoes, but we're gonna go all the way through. So let me show it to you. So you use your finger, you wrap it around, you see that, until it makes an X. You see that? And then you take these two buddies here, the two ends of the string, and insert it inside the loop. Now with your own fingers, you're gonna press it upwards. See that? And tie it. You're gonna pull it and tie it. Okay? Now we're gonna work on the back first, okay? And we're gonna get our scented markers. I love the smell. I think it's cherry. Cherry. And we're gonna write King David, okay? King David. So I'm gonna write here 3 characteristics. When I read the story of King David, that's what comes to my mind. So now that we have written on the back, we're gonna decorate the front part of our bookmark, okay? And we're gonna start by using our brown Mr. Sketch smelly marker. We have some symbols that are gonna help us tell the story of King David, whether it's that to remind yourself, your siblings, your friends, your family, and it's really fun. So back then, King David most likely was composing in a harp, and back then the harp looks like this. It's kind of like a U, okay, like a letter U, but look at this. You see that? So it curls at the beginning, and then a U, and then curls back. And then we're gonna add a line here. You see that? And then we're gonna do lots of parallel lines, probably 3, not lots, actually 3 lines. Okay, this is a symbol of the heart because, as you will learn, he wrote amazing songs, and those songs can be found in the book of Psalms in your Bibles. Amazing. So this was a very strong symbol for him and for his life, okay, because he was a composer of beautiful, beautiful songs. Okay, so after these, something that was a strong symbol of his life too was that he was a shepherd. And to depict that, we're gonna use a shepherd's staff symbol. So watch out. It kind of looks like a candy cane. Look at this. You see that? And just for added interest, I'm gonna add these lines here. And now it really does look like a candy cane. Okay. Another symbol in his life, and please remember you can always pause and take your time, okay? The next color that we're gonna use is a pink color, and you can use whatever color you like. And this is to draw a bottle or a jar of oil, because you will learn why. I'm not gonna tell you right now, but you will learn why. So to depict the bottle, right, we are gonna, guess what? Draw a bottle. We are gonna start with the top, and that's gonna be slimmer. So 2 lines, 2 parallel lines, and then it opens up like a bottle. And now I'm going to curve my line here because bottles usually are not flat, right? So I'm gonna curl the top. You see that? And on top, I'm gonna curl it too. So it gives a little bit of a extra added dimension here to the bottle. And the same here, I'm gonna curl it. And I'm gonna write oil. O-I-L. Oil. Another strong symbol for his life, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. And for this, we're gonna use the color purple. I'm gonna smell it. Oh, grape. I love this grape smell. And I'm gonna draw 5 stones. Do you remember why? 1, 2, and we don't want to make them perfect circles, right? Because stones are not perfect circles always. They have all kinds of shapes. Maybe a little bit more rectangular. 4, 5. Okay? 5 stones, because this was a very, very decisive moment in his life where he used, guess what? Lots of courage and faith, certainly faith, and love, because he confronted Goliath. He confronted Goliath and he won the battle with 5 pebbles. Really interesting story. Okay, so after the 5 stones, there was something also very important in his life, and that was his friendship with Jonathan. Do you remember Jonathan? You will learn who Jonathan is in this story. I'm just gonna let you know now that he was very, very helpful to David. And by this point, David wasn't a king yet. He was still a shepherd boy and a musician. So, to depict this, to depict the friendship, I am going to draw 2 faces, so 2 circles, one kind of above the other. So here, like this. and I want them kind of one looking down at his friend, and remember, use the tips for thinner lines, right? He's looking down at his friend, and the one below is looking up at his friend. I love you. Yes, they were very, very good friends, and they help each other out. Okay, so there, friendship is another symbol. And last but not least, a very, very important symbol for King David's life. And guess what that is? The actual crown. Okay, so for the crown, we're gonna start at the bottom with a curved line. So we're not gonna make the crown straight, right? Just a little dimension, so like that. It looks like almost like a sad smile, like a sad lips, pardon me. Okay, and then we're gonna do 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, evenly distributed. Okay, and watch how I'm gonna draw the crown. First, I'm gonna draw a straight line, but then I'm gonna make little circles for the tops. Then like a descending like a V. You see that? And then a circle. You see that? So it almost looks like little people on top, depending on how you're looking at it. Or like little V's, and then a little, almost a complete circle, then a V, and then almost a complete circle, and you repeat the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Like that. Okay. So this is the part I've been looking forward to. We're gonna use our glitter pens. Wait, so I suggest that you start slow and with pressing it slowly and gently. So for the crown, I'm gonna use the gold color, okay? So I'm gonna first start with the little almost complete circles here on top of the crown, and you just face off to take a deep breath and do slowly. And I would like you to watch how these glue pens behave. Just watch it. Okay, it needs very little pressure. You see that? Very little pressure. Take your time. When I'm working with a new material, I always take it gentle. Very small at the beginning. See that? Now I'm learning what kind of pressure do I need for these kind of dots. Now that I am understanding how much pressure do I need, which is very gentle, I am eager to find out what kind of pressure does it take to do a whole straight line. Let's see. So I'm gonna start slow and stretch the glue, and there you go. Okay, so with this feedback, I'm gonna continue my journey, and I'm just gonna fill it all up. And I like to take things into small steps. So basically all these steps is, first you're gonna trace with lines these little V's here that we drew together, okay? And again, take it slow, take your time. So now I'm gonna use my green. This is a beautiful shade of green here for my glitter pen, and I'm going to add borders. And I'm gonna add, it's like V's or little mountains depending on how you look at it, okay? With little mountains. So watch me. Start slow. See this one. Okay, remember to take your time. And breathe and enjoy your crafting. Happy crafting. Okay, I really like how these borders look. So now we're gonna add borders all around our bookmark. Now, I would like to highlight in some way with my silver pen, kind of frame all the symbols. So we're gonna frame the harp, and what I'm gonna do is, let me show you this way, just add little curved lines to frame it. So I'm gonna do it right now, and remember, pause and take your time. You see that? I'm framing this symbol. And then finally there's the crown. I think it has plenty of glitter and it doesn't need to be framed. And now my recommendation is that you let it dry for about 24 hours. Okay, so it can fully dry, and there you go. You can share it with family and friends. So there you go. Look at the beautiful bookmark we have made together. I'm really excited about this craft because it's the symbols, you can share them as a story with your family and your friends.
And now the story of David. In the city of Bethlehem, where Ruth lived, Jesse made his home. Now Jesse was the grandson of Ruth. He had many sons. Now one day Samuel, who we learned about last week, came to Bethlehem in search of a new king. Samuel came to the house of Jesse because God told him that the king would be there. Jesse brought 6 of his sons to Samuel, but the new king was not among them. Samuel asked, "Are there any more sons?" Jesse said, "Yes, there's David, who's the youngest, and he's out keeping the sheep." When Samuel saw David, he knew at once he was the king Samuel was looking for. So he took a horn full of oil, like the oil in like olive oil container, and he poured it all over David's head to make him the new king. Now this was very confusing because there was already a king in the land, King Saul. But Saul had changed. An evil spirit tormented him. Still, David would not begin to rule until Saul died. Now Saul's sickness became worse. Someone suggested he needed music to feel better. I know music always makes me feel better. So David, the shepherd boy, was brought to play the harp and sing songs to soothe the king. Well, and some of David's songs can be found in the book of Psalms. Now, while David was still a young boy, there was a great war in the land. The Philistines wanted the land for themselves, and the army of the people of God and the army of the Philistines were lined up, ready to fight. And then a very tall man like a giant came to challenge Saul's army. His name was Goliath. Nobody wanted to fight him. And when David heard the challenge, he went forward to fight Goliath. They tried to cast it aside and went against Goliath, and he only brought 5 smooth stones, his slingshot, and his shepherd's staff. Now, he'd killed bears and lions to defend the sheep. Why couldn't he kill Goliath to defend the people? Well, he did. Now, the people never forgot David's bravery. And when he grew up to become king, And when he grew up, he became a soldier in the army of the king. Now, King Saul had many sons. One of them was named Jonathan. Now, David and Jonathan became really close friends. Jonathan always stood up for David and tried to protect him from harm, even from his father, the king. Now, the king was very jealous of David. David was a great soldier and over time grew more popular than the king himself. And this made the king so angry he wanted to kill David. Jonathan spoke to his father about David and told him David was a good man, but Saul wouldn't listen. Jonathan knew the only way for David to be safe would be for him to run away and hide from King Saul. This meant the two friends had to say goodbye. King Saul and his sons led their army against the Philistines once more, but this time, he and his sons were killed. David was moving through the land with his army, and a young man came to him with the news that King Saul and his sons were dead. And when David heard the news, he was very sad. David never forgot his good friend Jonathan. And later, when he was king, he brought Jonathan's own son to live with him, to eat at his table and give him all the land that belonged to King Saul. Now, it was time for David to become king. The young man brought to David the king's crown. All the tribes of Israel came to Hebron and made him king, saying, "You shall be shepherd over the people." Now, at the time, he was 30 years old. He would be king for 40 more years. Now, one of the first things David did was to go to the city of Jerusalem and take it from the Jebusite people. So now there was a city of David in Bethlehem and a city of David in Jerusalem. And then David remembered the ark had been lost to the Philistines. So he led an army against the Philistines and defeated them. They went to get the ark and brought it to Jerusalem. The king danced in front of the ark as if it was carried, and then carried it back and put in a tent just like it had been before in the desert. Now, David wanted to build a house for God, a more beautiful place for the ark. But God said no. David was a king of war. His son, Solomon, would build the temple. Now, King David was not a perfect king. He made many mistakes, but he understood that and asked God to forgive him. And God did. When David was old and full of years, he died and was buried in Jerusalem. His son Solomon continued to rule over his kingdom and built the temple. Now, I wonder, what part of the story did you like best? I wonder what part was the most important. I wonder if we could leave out any of the story and still have all the story we need. Well, friends, it was a delight to teach you today, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Until then, virtual hugs, and know that you are deeply, deeply loved. See ya.